Good morning. Today, as we remember the Holocaust, we reflect on one of the darkest times in human history, when over 6 million Jewish men, women, and children, along with countless others, lost their lives in unimaginable ways. The Nazis carried out their atrocities at death camps with chilling efficiency. Places like Chelmno, Belzec, Sobibor, Treblinka, and Majdanek became factories of death, created solely to exterminate innocent lives. Each of these camps, each method, and every life lost speaks of the cruelty and brutality of a regime fueled by hatred and prejudice. Today, as we remember each life, each family shattered, and each story that was silenced, we remember not just to mourn, but to honour their memory and to promise that hatred and violence will never again go unchallenged.
Anti-Semitism is hatred, discrimination, or prejudice against Jewish people simply because of their faith or heritage. In the 1930s and 40s, anti-Semitic beliefs fueled the Holocaust, where the Nazis blamed Jews for society's problems and used lies to justify the murder of 6 million Jewish men, women, and children. Sadly, anti-Semitism still exists today, often seen in stereotypes, hate speech, and even violent attacks. Remembering the Holocaust reminds us of why it is so important to challenge anti-Semitism wherever we see it and to stand up for respect, equality, and understanding.
Rabbi Peets will now tell us about the horrors of the Holocaust.
This is Auschwitz. It's a small village in Poland, a place where the Nazis set up the largest of many concentration camps in Europe. 80 years ago, as the Second World War was coming to an end, Nazi troops all over Europe were in retreat. British and American soldiers were advancing from the west, Russians from the east. On January the 27th, 1945, Russian soldiers arrived at Auschwitz. It had been partially destroyed by the retreating German soldiers as they abandoned it. But there was enough left behind to show what had happened there. Hundreds of thousands of human beings had been murdered in gas chambers, and most of them were Jews. January the 27th is Holocaust Memorial Day. It's a day to remind ourselves just how cruel human beings can be. It's a day to remember the Shoah, the Holocaust, the period of time between 1941 and 1945, when millions of Jews were put to death by the Nazis in death camps all over Europe. It's a day to recognise that in the 80 years since Auschwitz, there have been genocides in other places in the world, in Cambodia, in Bosnia, and in Rwanda. It's a day to promise that each person will do whatever they can to ensure that such things never happen again. The Holocaust didn't start with concentration camps. It began with ideas that are easily planted in human minds. The world is filled with many different types of people, different nationalities, different skin colours, different religious beliefs. Throughout history, any one group of people has looked at another group of people and seen those differences. All too often, one group will decide that another group is inferior because of this difference. This is prejudice, and it's the first step on the path to a genocide. Before the Nazis came to power in 1933, the Jews lived very comfortably and at peace in Germany. But under Adolf Hitler, a series of laws were introduced that made life increasingly difficult for Jewish people. Jewish children were made to sit at the back of the class, not allowed to take part in class activities, were picked on by teachers, and eventually made to leave their schools and go to exclusively Jewish schools. They weren't allowed to use public transport, to sit in parks, or to go to the cinema. They had to wear a yellow star to show that they were Jewish. Their parents lost their jobs, or had their shops and businesses closed down. This is prejudice. This is how the Holocaust began, and it ended here, at Auschwitz. Each of you watching this has a responsibility to do your best to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again.
In quiet fields where shadows lay, 6 million voices swept away. Our world stood still, yet hatred grew. Innocent lives lost, so many, too few.
In darkened camps, in ashen skies, dreams turned to whispers, hope to cries. Each name a story, each soul a light, extinguished too soon in darkened night.
We stand here now with lessons clear to honour the lost and hold them near. From ashes and sorrow we rise and say, never again, let love lead the way.
As we close our assembly, let us commit to learning from the history. The Holocaust reminds us of the consequences when hatred goes unchallenged and prejudice takes root. Today we honour those who suffered to pledge to stand against discrimination in all its forms. Together let's build a future based on respect, compassion and understanding.